Imagine that you're a freshman in college. You just walked on campus, you got your new class schedule, in your dorm, you meet all your dorm mates, your new friends, you have this newly found independence. For many of us, this will happen next year or within a couple years. Now imagine this. It's 7 a.m. on an ice-crusted February morning, and Pete, a college freshman, is not sleeping in. He's in the gymnasium boxing room, taking attendance, checking to ensure that each of his 20 classmates is in the right uniform, has the prescribed mouthpiece, has donned boxing gloves and protective headgear, and is standing at attention for the instructor's entrance at precisely 7:10. If anything is amiss, the boxing coach will let Pete know it, in his face, loud and clear. Welcome to Phys Ed class, West Point style. Now, whether this second option sounds like an interesting, difficult challenge that you'd like to take on, or your own personal hell, it's obvious that there are advantages and disadvantages to attending a school like West Point. If you guys don't know, West Point is a military school about 2 hours from New York City, and it feeds straight into the Army. One large advantage to attending West Point is the fact that, as we all most know by now, that our economy is very bad, and 50% of last year's graduating college class could not find a job once they graduated and had to move back in with their parents. If you attend West Point, this degree is held so highly in the workplace. If you go to basically any job application, you will stand out among your peers trying to find a job as well. It looks great on a resume, so obviously this will be a benefit towards you for the rest of your life. You also learn discipline and decision-making skills that will carry you out through the rest of your life as well. You're not simply making decisions like normal college students where you decide, oh, what classes am I going to take, to get my career. You're making decisions on how to save people's lives. When you get into the Army, once you graduate, you are in charge of a group of people, and you have to get them from A to B, and if they don't make it there safely, that's on you. Those are the big kind of split decision making that you have to, be able to make, and that's also a very good attribute to someone who's looking for a job. Also, one benefit of attending West Point is that it's free. You don't have to pay it's not free, but you don't have to pay any money to attend West Point. They actually pay you. Your junior year, you receive a check for committing to that school. While you're not paying money, you are paying with your time and your life, basically, because once you graduate, you have to serve in the Army for at least 3 years. You can choose which sector of the Army that you want to go into, so not everyone is like on the front line, but you do have to, risk your life out there. Obviously, the biggest disadvantage to attending West Point is the fact that you have the possibility of death in the Army after, which is a thought most people don't like to think about, but when considering West Point as your college, you have to consider that as well. Another factor you do have to submit 3 years of your life, but you have to put your life on hold for those 3 years. You can't go off and get married, you can't have children, you can't start your career, buy a house. You're committing your life to your country for those 3 years, which many don't like the thought of having to put off their life. They want to get directly started right out of college. Also, one disadvantage that kids consider for attending West Point is the fact that you don't get that typical college experience. A lot of kids want to go off to college, like I said already, to become independent, to typical party scene, and at West Point, you can't do that. You are being controlled by your officer from sunup to sundown. From the moment you wake up, they're screaming in your face till when you go to bed. And while it does sound awful, and I don't think anyone wants to have that, my parents both went to West Point, and they absolutely loved their experience there. I've never actually spoken to someone who did not enjoy their time at West Point, and I've spoken to a lot because of my parents, they have classmates. And also you're making friends for a lifetime. At West Point, you have a core group of people that you spend all 4 years with because they're in your party, and basically you're making friends for life. My dad, actually, his roommate, his freshman year, we just went and visited him at his lake house in New York this summer, and they told me a story of when it was his second day at West Point, freshman year, and they came home from running miles because they just have to train, in the Army, and it was extremely hot because it's like 100 degrees and extremely humid in New York in the summer, and my dad's roommate, his socks were really sweaty and gross, so he hung them outside his dorm room, and I guess an officer saw from down and outside, they saw the socks hanging outside of his dorm, and he went directly up to their room and just laid into them, screaming at them for 10 minutes straight for putting his socks outside the window. And while to us it doesn't really seem like that big of a deal, but at West Point, everything has a specific schedule, a specific place to be at a certain time, and if you mess that up, they'll let you know it. And the reason for that is because once you go into the Army, every little thing matters. The little mistake that you make, even if it's something as simple as putting your socks outside for people to see, it could initially, things like that, like cost lives. So that's why they do what they do. Here I have pictures of my parents when they went to West Point. Back then, the women had to cut their hair like a guy's to go there. Now it's not like that. But that's my mom. She's driving a Humvee. This is them on graduation day. They're tossing their hats. They graduated in '89. And that's them as well in their uniforms they dated when they went to West Point. West Point is extremely selective. They only accept 11% of all their applicants that apply every year. And they are looking for specific things like leadership, moral character, athletic success, academic achievement, and if you have to excel in all of those areas. You can't just have one strong point and the rest are mediocre. You have to be at the top of your class in literally all of these aspects. So they are looking for like the best of the best in your high school class. You also, in order to attend there, you have to get a physical from your doctor and ensure that your knees are okay or you don't have asthma. You know, things like your eyesight is okay because those little things do matter once you get to the Army. You also have to pass a fitness test, do pull-ups and push-ups in order to, you know, ensure that you're physical enough to join the Army. In conclusion, like I said before, I've never met anyone who has not wanted to, or has not enjoyed their time at West Point. I went on the Army's homepage and they had a story of a kid who went back to his high school and told them his story of, his West Point story. And he said, "The academy is a school for leadership. I learned how to become a leader and I'm a better person because of it. Many people are called to greatness, but only few attend West Point." Thank you.